For thousands of years, the galaxy believed Earth was nothing more than a memory. Long ago, when humanity still struggled with wars, pollution, and endless hunger, their homeworld began to collapse. Storms consumed cities, oceans rose, resources ran dry. To survive, humans built great starships and scattered among the stars. They became wanderers, settlers, traders, and workers in alien empires. Generations passed, civilizations rose and fell. Humans were never forgotten, but they were never feared either. They were seen as a curious species, resilient, clever, but never dominant. Weak bodies, short lives, always struggling. To most of the galaxy, humans were just one more race among thousands. And Earth? Earth was gone. Alien historians marked Sol system as a dead sector. Records showed the planet had collapsed under its own mistakes. Ships that passed near the system only found silence, ruins, and radiation storms. Earth was a grave, nothing more. But then, everything changed. It began as whispers. Strange energy signals rippled through deep space. Scanners picked up pulses from Sol system, pulses too organized to be natural. They carried rhythm. They carried structure. Something was alive there. At first, no one cared. Many thought it was a trick of the void, an echo of ancient satellites breaking apart. But the signals grew stronger. They spread farther. Soon, even the great galactic networks couldn't ignore them. The Council of 12, a powerful assembly of alien races, called an emergency meeting. Representatives gathered in shining towers orbiting the core of the galaxy. Their voices were full of fear, doubt, and curiosity. "Impossible," hissed the Threx delegate, her scaled hands gripping the edge of the table. "Earth is dead. My ancestors flew past it themselves. Nothing survived." "And yet," replied a soft-voiced surreal diplomat, her translucent skin glowing with nervous light, "these signals bear the pattern of intelligence. And more troubling, they match ancient human transmissions, songs, codes, languages." The chamber filled with silence. Every species knew humans were scattered, but none believed their old world could rise again. The Kalari Prime Minister leaned forward, her 4 eyes narrowing. "Then we must investigate. Send fleets. If Earth has risen, we must understand how." And so the decision was made. Days later, fleets of alien ships entered Sol system. They came from dozens of worlds, scientists, explorers, even hidden warships, cloaked behind research missions. They expected ruins. They expected dust. Instead, they found something else. Earth was alive, not just alive, but thriving. From orbit, the planet shone like a jewel. Vast forests covered continents once thought barren. Oceans sparkled with strange light. Storms moved in perfect harmony, almost as if guided by unseen hands. Cities stood on coastlines, glowing with energy fields never seen before. "This is not possible," whispered Admiral Kalresh of the Valen Armada, his voice trembling. "This world was dead. I saw the records. I saw the images, but the scans did not lie. Earth had healed. The fleet sent drones to observe, but something strange happened. Every drone that entered the atmosphere was shut down, not destroyed, but disabled gently. They floated back to orbit, unharmed as if a careful hand had returned them. Then came the first message. It was simple, a transmission in dozens of galactic languages. The words carried warmth, but also a strange weight. "Welcome home, travelers. You come seeking Earth. Earth remembers you." The aliens stared at their screens in disbelief. Who had sent it? Was it truly humans? Or some machine intelligence that had claimed the planet? To find the truth, they had to land. A delegation was chosen, brave envoys from several races. They descended through Earth's sky, nervous, expecting either hostility or emptiness. What they found left them breathless. The landing site was an ancient city once known as New York. Long ago it had been buried under water and ruin. Now it rose again. Towering structures touched the clouds, covered in green vines that shimmered with light. Energy flowed through them like rivers. The air smelled fresh, clean, alive. Waiting at the landing platform were humans. But these were not the fragile creatures the galaxy remembered. They stood tall, their eyes shining with strange light. Their skin carried subtle patterns, almost like living circuits. Some wore flowing garments that seemed woven from light itself. Yet, despite their strange appearance, their faces were unmistakably human. The leader stepped forward. His voice was calm, carrying across the platform without effort. "Welcome to Earth," he said. "You have come far. You must have questions." The alien envoys exchanged nervous glances. One of them, a cautious Lurian with tendrils that twitched when anxious, finally spoke. "We thought this world was dead. We thought your kind had abandoned it forever." The human smiled, though there was a deep sadness in his eyes. "We did abandon it. But Earth did not abandon us. She called us back. And now, we have returned." The envoys spent days on Earth, guided by humans who were both familiar and alien. They were shown cities powered not by machines but by living systems. Skyscrapers grew like trees. Roads shifted to meet travelers. Oceans pulsed with glowing life forms that humans claimed were partners, not resources. "Your planet. It feels alive," whispered one surreal scientist as she touched the soil that glowed faintly beneath her hand. "It is," replied a human guide. "We learned long ago that to survive we must change, not just ourselves, but our bond with this world. Earth is no longer just a planet. She is part of us and we are part of her." The aliens struggled to understand. To them, planets were places to conquer, strip, or abandon. Yet here was a world reborn, not by force, but by harmony. And the humans, themselves, what had they become? They seemed stronger, their bodies carrying a quiet power. They moved with precision, spoke with calm confidence. They no longer relied on weapons or machines as other species did. Instead, they wielded something deeper, an invisible connection, both to each other and to Earth itself. Rumors began to spread among the fleets in orbit. Some whispered that humans had become more than a species, that they had merged with their world, becoming something new, something vast, something beyond control. The envoys sent frantic reports back to their governments. Fear grew quickly. "What if humanity has risen beyond us?" demanded one alien leader in a distant council chamber. "What if they cannot be stopped?" Others argued differently. "They have not attacked us. They welcome us. Perhaps they are allies, not threats." But the doubt remained. One evening, as the suns of distant ships glimmered in Earth's sky, the human leader gathered the alien envoys in a great hall grown from living crystal. His words carried weight, like the quiet roll of thunder. "You came expecting ruins," he said. "You came expecting weakness, but Earth has healed. Humanity has changed. We are no longer what we once were." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the gathered envoys. "We do not seek conquest. We do not seek war. But understand this truth. Earth is alive, humanity is awake, and we will not be broken again." The words echoed through the chamber, through the ships in orbit, through the halls of distant councils across the galaxy. The galaxy was restless. Ever since the fleets had returned from Sol system with reports of a reborn Earth, councils across hundreds of worlds argued day and night. Some claimed it was a trick, an illusion created by machines. Others whispered darker fears, that humans had changed into something far greater, something no power could control. The Council of 12, the galaxy's most respected assembly, demanded proof. They requested more envoys, more studies, more contact. And so, delegations continued to land on Earth. Each left with the same conclusion: humanity was no longer the same. But what exactly had they become? On Earth itself, the alien visitors saw things that shattered old beliefs. The first shock was the cities. Alien engineers were used to building machines, factories, and towers of steel. But human cities were not built in the same way. They were grown. Skyscrapers curved like trees, their surfaces alive with light. Roads reshaped themselves to guide travelers. Walls breathed, filtering air, adjusting warmth and sound. One Velan scientist placed her clawed hand against a glowing surface and whispered, "This building is alive." A human beside her nodded calmly. "Of course it is. Why build something dead when you can build something that grows, adapts, and heals?" The aliens struggled to understand. For them, progress was machines, cold, hard, and separate from nature. But humans had chosen another path. Their technology was not separate from life, it was woven into it. The second shock was the humans themselves. The envoys studied them closely, comparing them to old records. Humans were still human in shape, 2 arms, 2 legs, expressive eyes, and voices full of emotion. But there were differences. Their eyes glowed faintly, colors shifting with mood or thought. Their skin carried faint patterns, like circuits or constellations visible only under certain light. They moved with a strange grace, as if the world itself guided their steps. When aliens scanned them with medical instruments, the results caused debate and disbelief. Human biology was no longer just biology. Their cells carried nanostructures. Their nerves connected not only to their bodies, but to invisible fields that pulsed through the planet itself. "They are not just flesh," whispered a surreal doctor, her translucent hands shaking as she read the data. "They are something between life and energy, something beyond our science." The third shock was their minds. Humans had always been known for imagination, for strange ideas and dreams that other species often dismissed as madness. But now those dreams seemed to have taken physical form. In one demonstration for alien guests, a group of human children gathered in a wide plaza. Without machines, without devices, they raised their hands, and lights appeared in the air. Shapes of birds, stars, and rivers flowed above them, dancing in the sky like living fire. The alien envoys gasped. "What is this? Magic?" The human guide smiled. "Not magic, connection. Our minds are linked with the living fields of Earth. We no longer imagine alone. We imagine together." The aliens exchanged fearful looks. If children could bend light and energy with a thought, what could adults do? Fear grew quickly in the galaxy. Reports spread of humans who could terraform barren moons in days, restoring them into green worlds. Others told of humans who cured entire plagues with a single touch. And yet others whispered of humans who walked among stars without ships, carried by invisible fields. To many alien leaders, this was no longer the same species. "They are no longer human," declared Lord Sarek of the Threx Dominion in a fiery council session. "They are something else, something unnatural. If we allow them to grow, they will eclipse us all." But others disagreed. "They do not conquer," argued the Kalari Prime Minister. "They do not enslave. They heal. They build. Perhaps they are not a threat but a guide. Perhaps we should learn from them." Still, doubt lingered. On Earth, the human leaders seemed aware of the fear spreading across the stars. One evening, a grand gathering was held in the city of New Avalon, a capital, grown from crystal forests on the European plains. Hundreds of alien representatives arrived, curious and cautious. At the center stood a human elder, tall and calm, his eyes glowing softly like distant suns. He raised his hand, and the hall grew silent. "You look at us and see change," he said. "You see that we are no longer as we were, and you fear what you do not understand." He walked slowly across the stage, his voice carrying without effort. "Once we were broken. We fled our home. We lived among you as wanderers, weak and scattered. But Earth called us back. She offered us a choice. Continue as we were, or become something more. We chose to grow, to bond with our world, to rise together, not apart." He paused, looking into the eyes of each alien envoy. "You fear that we are too powerful, but know this, we do not seek to rule. We do not seek to dominate. Power without wisdom is destruction. We choose a different path. We choose to build." The words calmed some, but not all. Many aliens left Earth with a strange mix of awe and unease. Some were inspired, dreaming of what their own species might achieve if they followed a similar path. Others returned to their worlds whispering warnings. The humans are no longer human. They are something greater, and no force can stop them. But what none could deny was this: humanity had changed. They had merged with their homeworld in ways no other race had ever dared. They had turned weakness into strength, chaos into harmony. They were no longer the scattered refugees of old. They were something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. They were the changed species. The galaxy could not stay calm. Ever since the news spread that Earth was alive again, and that humanity had changed into something beyond comprehension, every world, every government, every empire found itself trapped between fear and wonder. Distant stations, common citizens whispered over market stalls and in shadowed taverns. They spoke of humans who walked among storms without harm, of humans who could breathe life into dying planets, of humans whose eyes glowed with the light of stars. Some people dreamed of hope, imagining humans as saviors. Others trembled, seeing them as the beginning of the end. The leaders of the galaxy felt both. In the grand chamber of the Council of 12, the panic showed clearly. The chamber was carved from a moon of white stone, its walls glowing faintly as if filled with starlight. Here the most powerful leaders of the galaxy gathered to decide the fate of trillions, but now their voices were full of worry. "They are too strong," hissed Lord Sarek of the Threx Dominion, his scaled hands gripping the table. "They hide behind smiles, but they are no longer human. They are something greater. If we allow them to grow, they will surpass us all." The Kalari Prime Minister spoke next, calm but firm. Her four eyes blinked slowly as she studied the others. "And yet they have not attacked. They do not build armies. They do not demand tribute. Perhaps their strength is not for conquest, but for creation." "Creation today," growled Admiral Kalresh of the Valen Armada, "but tomorrow? Tomorrow they may decide the galaxy needs fixing. And who will stop them then? No one. That is why we must prepare now." The chamber filled with shouts, some demanding weapons, others begging for peace. The council, once united, was breaking apart under the weight of fear. Meanwhile, fleets across the galaxy stirred. The Threx Dominion began building hidden armadas, stockpiling weapons strong enough to tear moons apart. The Valen Armada drilled its soldiers day and night, preparing for a war they were not sure they could win. Even smaller nations began to take sides. Some closed their borders to human travelers, fearing spies. Others secretly sent envoys to Earth, hoping to form alliances before it was too late. The galaxy was dividing into two camps, those who feared humanity and those who hoped to stand beside them. On the worlds of ordinary people, panic spread like wildfire. Merchants worried their trade routes would collapse if a war broke out. Farmers whispered that humans could make food from nothing, and soon, no one would need their harvests. Entire religions began to argue, some claiming humans were chosen by the universe itself, others declaring them an abomination. A surreal poet wrote a line that spread across the stars: "If humans are the dawn, then what is left of our night?" The words were copied onto walls, ships, and even banners of protest. Back on Earth, humanity felt the weight of the galaxy's fear. The Human Council met in the crystal halls of New Avalon. They were not blind to what was happening. They knew. The fleets were preparing. They knew fear was growing. One younger human, his eyes bright with energy, slammed his fist against the table. "We should act first. If they fear us, let us show them our strength. Let us prove that no fleet, no weapon, no council can stand against us." But an elder human shook her head gently. Her voice was calm, yet carried the weight of centuries. "No, that is the path of the old humanity, the path of fear and conquest. We did not change to fall into old ways. If we are truly beyond them, we must answer fear with something else, with patience, with guidance, with proof that we are not a threat." Her words silenced the hall, though not all agreed. Still, the decision was made. Humanity would not strike first. But the galaxy did not know this. Rumors twisted reality. Stories spread of secret human armies, of hidden weapons growing in Earth's forests, of humans preparing to dominate the stars. None of it was true, but fear often grows faster than truth. Soon, small sparks of conflict appeared. On the trade station Kiros 7, a human trader was denied docking rights. When he protested, the station guards forced him back into his ship. Rumors of the event reached Earth, and though no violence followed, the story spread like fire. They are isolating humans again. On a mining colony, a group of humans who had lived there for generations were suddenly accused of spying for Earth. They were forced to flee under threat of exile. And on a distant surreal world, a crowd gathered around a human teacher, begging for lessons about Earth's new way of life. The government panicked and banned such gatherings, fearing rebellion. Each incident pushed the galaxy closer to chaos. In the Council of 12, panic finally reached its peak. Admiral Kalresh rose, his voice loud enough to shake the walls. "If we wait, we will be slaves to their power. We must unite. We must show them we will not bow. If we strike first, we may survive. If we wait, we are doomed." Many agreed. Fleets began to gather in secret, forming what some called the Coalition of Defense, a plan to strike at Earth before it was too late. But not all were convinced. The Kalari Prime Minister spoke against it, her voice trembling with passion. "Do you not see? They do not destroy. They heal. They create. They turn their broken world into paradise. Have any of us done the same? Do not let fear blind you. Humanity is not our end. Humanity may be our beginning." Her words carried weight, but fear carried more. The vote was cast. The majority agreed fleets would be prepared for war. The galaxy was walking toward fire. Yet as the fleets moved, as weapons were armed, as citizens prayed or protested, something unexpected happened. Disaster struck. Far beyond the core worlds, a cosmic storm began to rise. It was no ordinary storm. It was a wave of energy born from a dying star cluster, spreading across the void like fire across dry fields. Entire sectors faced destruction. Dozens of inhabited worlds lay in its path. The fleets of the galaxy rushed to act, but their weapons and shields failed against the storm's vast power. Worlds trembled. Citizens screamed. The Council of 12 called for aid, but none could stop it. And then, a voice echoed across the stars. It came from Earth. "Do not fear. We will help." In that moment, the galaxy froze. Some felt relief, others fear. Was this the chance humanity had been waiting for, to show its strength, to prove its power, to take control of the galaxy in its moment of weakness? No one knew. But all eyes turned to Earth. Humanity was moving. The galaxy trembled. The storm was unlike anything seen before. It was not a storm of wind or water, but of raw cosmic energy. Born from the collapse of 3 dying stars, it stretched like a wave of fire across the void, swallowing everything in its path. Space stations were torn apart. Colonies screamed for help as their skies burned. Dozens of worlds stood in its way, and none had the power to resist. The fleets of the galaxy tried. They launched ships with their strongest shields, but the storm cut through them as if they were made of paper. They fired weapons, but weapons did nothing. They built walls of energy, but the storm devoured them like dust. The Council of 12 grew desperate. Whole civilizations faced extinction, and the galaxy had no answer. And then came the voice. Calm transmission echoed through every channel, every fleet, every world. "Do not fear. We will help. Earth will help." The word spread like wildfire. Some fell to their knees in relief. Others clenched their fists in anger. Many leaders asked the same question. What price will humans demand? In the council chamber, the debate was fierce. "This is their chance," shouted Lord Sarek of the Threx Dominion. "They will save us, yes, but then they will rule us. Do not let them fool you. The Kalari Prime Minister stood, her 4 eyes glowing softly. And yet, if we refuse, our people will die. Is pride worth extinction? If humans can stop the storm, then let them act. Around the chamber, silence grew. None had an answer. While the galaxy argued, humanity acted. From Earth's surface, great ships lifted into the sky. They were unlike any the galaxy had seen before, not built of steel or fire, but of living crystal, glowing forests, and flowing rivers of light. They moved as if alive, each pulse of their engines in harmony with Earth itself. Billions watched the transmissions as these ships left orbit, heading for the storm. Some called them angels, others called them monsters, but all watched in silence, waiting to see what would happen. The storm was vast, stretching across whole sectors. Alien fleets retreated, unwilling to face its wrath. But the human ships flew straight into it. On the bridge of one great vessel, a young human named Leora stood, her eyes glowing with the storm's reflection. Around her, crew members sat not at consoles but at living seats that pulsed with light, their minds connected directly to the ship. "Steady," Leora whispered. "The storm is alive. It is not our enemy. We must listen." The ship trembled as the wave of energy crashed against it. Alarms blared across alien fleets watching from afar, but the human ships did not break. Instead, they glowed brighter, their hulls resonating with the storm. And then something incredible happened. The storm bent. The human ships did not fight it with weapons. They guided it, like shepherds guiding a raging river. Slowly, carefully, they channeled its power, turning its path away from the inhabited worlds. On dozens of planets, citizens looked up to see the skies clear, the deadly glow fading. Children cheered, elders wept, and entire cities raised their voices in relief. But the task was not easy. The storm resisted, wild and furious. It threatened to tear the human ships apart. Some alien fleets watching from afar whispered, "They cannot survive. Not even they can do this." But the humans did not stop. They joined their minds together, their ships linked in a web of light. Earth itself pulsed from across the stars, sending strength to her children, and finally, with a burst of radiant energy, the storm split. One half dissolved harmlessly into empty space. The other half collapsed into a new star, burning steady instead of raging wild. The danger was gone. The galaxy was saved. At first, there was silence. From stations to planets, from ships to councils, no one spoke. Billions simply stared at their screens, unable to believe what they had witnessed. And then, slowly, the silence broke. Cheers erupted on worlds that had been minutes from destruction. Songs were sung. Fires of celebration lit the skies. On some planets, people called it a miracle. On others, a warning. But no one could deny the truth. Humanity had done what no other could. They had saved the galaxy. Yet even in celebration, fear remained. In the council chamber, voices rose again. "You see?" cried Lord Sarek. "They bend storms like toys. They command the cosmos itself. Do you not understand? We are ants to them now. Ants. How long before they decide we are no longer needed?" But another delegate, a surreal whose homeworld had been saved, stood tall. "And yet without them we would be ashes. My people owe them our lives. I will not call them tyrants. I will call them saviors." The chamber split again, half shouting in fear, half in gratitude. The decision was impossible. Back on Earth, the humans gathered in silence. They did not cheer, they did not celebrate. Instead, they stood beneath the stars, watching the newborn sun created from the storm. An elder spoke softly, her voice echoing through the human council. "We have shown them our strength, but also our choice. We did not destroy, we did not rule, we saved. Let them see this truth if they will." Some nodded, but others looked troubled. "They will still fear us," a younger man said. "No matter what we do, they will always fear. Fear blinds them. Fear makes them build weapons. Fear makes them strike first." The elder sighed. then we must be patient. Fear does not vanish in a day. But trust begins here, with what we have done. Across the galaxy, trust did begin, but unevenly. On the surreal homeworld, statues of humans were raised, honoring them as guardians. Pilgrims came to learn from them, begging for guidance. On the Velan Armada's capital, soldiers, trained harder than ever, their leaders warning, "One day the humans will turn. We must be ready." And on countless smaller worlds, ordinary people whispered a new saying, "The humans returned." And when the storm came, they stood between us and death. Yet the greatest test had not yet come. The storm had been nature's fury. It was impersonal, blind, uncaring. Humans had proven they could face it, but could they face the galaxy's fear? Could they stop war not with power, but with trust? That was the true test. The galaxy was quiet, at least for a moment. After the storm had passed, after the humans had bent it to their will and saved countless worlds, civilizations across the stars paused to take stock. Some cheered, some trembled, and some whispered, in dark corners wondering what might come next. From Earth, the humans watched the galaxy carefully. They had shown their strength. They had faced the storm. But they knew that power alone did not earn respect or peace. Trust had to be nurtured, and the galaxy's fear was still strong. The Council of 12 reconvened. Some delegates came reluctantly, their faces pale from witnessing the humans' abilities firsthand. Others came eagerly, hoping to form alliances, before fear erupted into hostility. "Your species," Lord Sarek of the Threx Dominion began, voice trembling. "You saved us. Entire worlds, billions of lives. Yet I cannot ignore the truth. You are too powerful to stop. No fleet, no weapon, no plan can contain you." The human elder who led Earth's delegation spoke softly, yet every word carried weight across the chamber. "We are aware of our strength," she said. "We do not seek to hide it. But power is not a weapon. Power is a responsibility. We can destroy, yes, but we choose to build instead. We can dominate, yes, but we choose to guide instead. The galaxy does not need fear. It needs understanding." The chamber fell silent. For many, the words were difficult to believe, but the truth was evident. Humans had demonstrated it already. To prove their intentions further, humans extended their hands across the stars. They invited scientists, engineers, and thinkers from every world to Earth. They offered training in new ways of living, how to grow cities without destruction, how to heal planets, how to connect life and technology in harmony. Some delegates accepted immediately, eager to learn. Entire fleets of curious explorers left their homeworlds to study with humans. Cities across the galaxy sent envoys to observe Earth's reborn ecosystems. Knowledge flowed like rivers, touching worlds that had long been isolated or impoverished. But not everyone trusted them. Some governments secretly built weapons in case humans turned, while some citizens whispered dark rumors about hidden armies on Earth. Fear was slow to fade, yet even among the fearful, fascination grew. Humans were not tyrants. They were teachers, healers, and creators. The humans also demonstrated their true connection to the universe. They showed alien observers how to restore dying stars, how to revive dead oceans, and how to bring barren planets to life. Entire worlds that had given up hope blossomed under their guidance. Forests grew overnight, rivers returned, and skies cleared. Species thought extinct walked again across their restored habitats, and every time, the humans explained their choices. "Power is only meaningful when it protects life," said Leora, one of the youngest leaders, her eyes shining like twin moons. "We do not claim to rule. We claim only to build and to help others see the possibilities in themselves." For the first time, some aliens began to see humans not as a threat, but as something extraordinary, a species that had turned weakness into strength, fear into courage, chaos into harmony. Yet the galaxy's fear was not gone entirely. On a distant Velen world, a council member whispered to her colleagues, We cannot allow ourselves to rely on humans. What if they change their mind? What if their power grows too much? But others argued in reply, their voices firm. We saw what they did. They saved us when no one else could, and they asked for nothing in return. Do you not see? Their power is not meant to harm, it is meant to help. That is why they cannot be stopped. Not because they force us, but because we want to follow. It was a lesson the galaxy would take time to fully understand. Meanwhile, humans continued their work, spreading knowledge, helping worlds, and teaching others how to grow beyond their limits. Alien children were allowed to study in Earth's schools. Scientists collaborated across species, sharing discoveries and ideas. Cities that once seemed impossible to build now rose across multiple worlds, following the human method of living architecture. Everywhere humans went, they inspired. They did not dominate. They did not demand. They showed quietly that true power comes from creation and care. And slowly, even those who had feared humans began to admire them. In the grand halls of New Avalon, the Human Council gathered last time for a public address. Delegates from dozens of species filled the chamber, all watching. The elder stood tall and calm, eyes glowing faintly. Her voice carried warmth and strength alike. You have seen what humans can do. You have seen how we faced a storm that no weapon could stop. You have seen how we heal, how we build, how we teach. We are not here to rule. We are here to help, and in that help we invite you to grow as well. Together we can rise higher than any of us could alone. The room was silent for a long moment. Then one by one, delegates began to stand. First a few, then dozens, then hundreds. Applause rose, not only for humans, but for what humanity represented: courage, wisdom, and the ability to turn strength into hope. Across the galaxy, the message spread. Humans have returned, citizens whispered, and they are too powerful to stop. Not because they could dominate, not because they sought war, but because they had chosen creation, and every world that witnessed it wanted to follow. Worlds that had once built walls now planted forests. Planets that had once fought over resources now shared knowledge. Species that had once lived in fear now dared to dream. Humans had shown them a new way, not through force, but through example. Even the most fearful leaders began to accept it. Lord Yas, Sarek of the Threx Dominion, once vocal in his warnings, spoke quietly to his council. They are not what I expected. They do not conquer. They do not destroy. They heal. They inspire. Perhaps we were wrong. Perhaps power can be used differently than we imagined. The galaxy was learning slowly. The changed species were teaching not with words alone, but with actions, and actions were far harder to deny than fear. Back on Earth, the humans looked to the stars one last time for a moment of reflection. The homeworld had been restored. Humanity had grown beyond its old limits. And the galaxy, wide and chaotic, was finally beginning to understand their path. We have shown them what we can do, said the elder, her gaze sweeping across the crystal cities. Now we must continue to show them who we are, not through fear, not through power, but through life itself. And with that, humanity's work continued, reaching further, building more, teaching more. The galaxy was no longer afraid, not completely. Instead, it marveled, it learned, it followed. Humans had returned to Earth. They had faced storms, fear, and doubt. They had grown beyond old limitations, and the galaxy finally understood the truth. They were too powerful to stop. Not because they destroyed, not because they conquered, but because they inspired, because they built, because they healed, because they chose to lift everyone, not crush them.